Open shot. Fate of the universe on the line. The death beam. The Martians got the death beam pointed at Earth, and you have to make it. You better hit it. I want Ajay Mitchell. It's not Shai. It's not Chet. It's not J-Dub. I want Ajay Mitchell. Because players like him are why the Oklahoma City Thunder have the chance to be a dynasty. And we're going to talk about that. So real quick before we get into the video, if you like salary cap content, team construction content, this is the place to be. So go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, like genuinely like the video, leave it a like. That's the best way you can help me out. Ajay Mitchell, after having two great games, again, back-to-back games against the Los Angeles Lakers, as it seems like the Oklahoma City is going to wrap this up in 4. They might do it in 5. Who knows? Maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. But either way, Ajay Mitchell has been a big part of that. I think the Lakers have done a pretty good job guarding Shai, even though Shai still is Shai at the end of the day. So he's still going to get his points off. But I still think for the most part they've been doing a pretty decent job. But with guys like Ajay Mitchell, especially with someone like J-Dub out, this is why OKC has the chance to be a dynasty, because they got their 3 guys. They got Chet, they got Shai, they got J-Dub. Those are their 3 guys. Those are the guys who are taking up all of the money. If I'm not mistaken, you got J-Dub making $41 million, Chet making $41 million, Shai making $40 million this year, but then next year it jumps to $60 million. So they have their 3 guys, or Shai's making $40 million next year, and then after that, that's when his extension kicks in. He'll be making $60 million. But they have their 3 guys. Now, where guys like Ajay Mitchell come into play, and Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe and Jared McCain, and then also you gotta start thinking about Casey Wallace, who's due for an extension. Where those guys come into play is that Sam Presti gets locked into those guys early. This is the thing. The reason OKC is able to do what they do is because they have continuity. They have the same guys are going to be there day in and day out. So that's why when Shai misses 2 weeks, or J-Dub's missing games, or Chet's missing games, this team is still able to compete at a high level because all these guys are familiar with the system. All these guys know their role, and they never try to do more than what their role is. And that is why OKC is, like I keep saying, is on the way to a potential dynasty. Think about it like this. Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, you could maybe say Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, J. Will, should we say. Those guys aren't high-level, high-end rotation players, but they're great foundation players. And what Sam Presti has done was lock those guys in early so that we have time to build on top of that. I'm not saying, like, there's 2 ways to look at it. Like, there's 2 foundations to me. You have the foundation of course, you can only go as far as Shai, Chet, and J-Dub take you. That's just what it is. But it is so important to be able to have guys, good rotation, solid pieces, because we see time and time again, as you're a good team, people try to take those players from you, or they try to be like, oh, I'm better off in a different situation, I'll have more opportunity, let me leave. But to have those guys locked in to kind of be like your foundation of these guys are always going to be here, these guys are solid, these guys never try to play outside their role, that allows you to go get the Isaiah Hartensteins, that allows you to go get the Alex Carusos. You're not paying those guys that much money, because look, we're looking at J. Will's contract. He signed a 3-year, $24 million extension. Kenrich Williams a 4-year, $27 million extension. While Kenrich Williams has not been as important, this season in these playoffs as he has been in the past. In the past, they were like, we need a big that can shoot. Can you do it? And that's exactly what they got him for, and they were able to have him for 4 years. And then you got Lou Dort, who he signed a little bit like a smaller extension before this one, but then he got his 5 years, $82 million. And the good thing about this deal is that by the time it started to get a little expensive, where you're looking at, do we really want to play Lou Dort $18 million, which I think, they do at this point. Do we really want to pay Lou Dort $18 million? You have the club option. That was so smart by Sam Presti, because all of these guys that I'm naming, and I have the list: Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort, J. Will, and Kenrich Williams. All 5 of those guys had club options on their extensions. So you built this foundation of rotational, solid pieces. You're able to build on top of that. So that's where you get the Alex Caruso. That's where you get Isaiah Hartensteins, and then you can go overboard because you paid those guys, I wouldn't say so little, but you paid them moderate, movable attractive amounts to where if you ever need to bundle them together to get a star, like I feel like Sam Presti set this team up to be able to be good no matter what. Because the thing is, when Lou Dort contract got, if like I said, it's getting around 18 million. When it started to get expensive, you have that club option. But then also at that point, if you're Sam Presti, you're like, by the time it's expensive, we're either cool with it because we're good, or it's over. It's over. It's a club. We have the club option. We can shut it down. We don't have to continue any further. He's not locked into this a crazy deal. And at the time when he signed it, they were on track to be a good team. All these guys signed deals to where you have control, and then that's where we add in the Ajay Mitchell, who, if you look back in the 24 draft class on all the mock drafts, he was picked at least 10 picks earlier than what people anticipated. Now, I did see there was a lot of people that I did see that said Ajay Mitchell's better than this. He could be a first round pick, but I know he had dealt with an injury, and then also how it goes with older players. I feel like that stigma is going down a little bit, where people are more willing to draft not a bad player, but a guy that's been in college basketball ranks a little longer, especially now in NIL, because they have more incentive to stay. But even then, it's just like teams were just ignoring. They're like, we're going for trying to shoot through the roof. And what Sam Presti was trying to do is, what can this guy do well? None of these guys are guys that can do a little bit of everything. They have their very distinct skills, and then you are able to have those guys in place for a long time. You locked them in for a long time, because none of these deals were 2-year deals, 1-year deals. You even look at the Ajay Mitchell deal. After his rookie season, they declined his club option because he was picked in the second round, and I think that's a big part of this, is that all these guys are second round picks. And while not all of them came from OKC, at the same time, like Isaiah Joe, he was from the Sixers. They waived him, but then the Thunder signed him. Hey, we need your shooting, and that's all we need you to do. We don't need you to do anything else. And I think that's why we see these guys end up being so successful, is because they are locked into their role. They're bought into their role. Mark Dadenhall has done a good job of elevating them in that role and making sure like this is the role for you. And those guys and everybody's just bought in. And that's when you could throw Shai and Chet and J-Dub on top, because you have this solid foundation of just bench players. They're not going anywhere. You know what they do night in and night out. You're not asking them to do much else. You're asking them just to completely just play their role. And they're all on deals to where if J-Dub didn't quite end up being what you wanted him to be, and I know some people could say that because of injury, whatever. If Chet didn't quite end up being what you wanted him to be, if Shai just if what Shai's doing wasn't maintainable for him, which we've seen that it is, but just all these ifs. These contracts are ones you can put together to sign for a star. These contracts are ones that if the player's not working, it will not kill you or another team to be able to trade these deals. So it's like, we're paying Isaiah Joe, $48 million over 4 years. He's not hitting, his shots the way we want him to be. Let's trade him. And let's just say that we're trying to get Jared McDaniels, whatever. A team is not going to be like, oh my God, we can't take Isaiah Joe. He's on a club has a club option on his deal. He has a team option on his deal, and it's not like he's getting paid just like $18-20 million. He's getting paid $12 million. Lou Dort, his defense, this is the contract I know I talked about with last video with Jalen Suggs. This is the type of deal where you are willing to pay $18 million just for him to play defense, because it's not like his shooting has gone up and down throughout his career, but it's not like something you could just slowly rely on. But $18 million, I ain't tripping over. And then on top of that, it was an increasing deal. So it started off, I believe, at like $15 million. But at any point, these deals were tradable deals if you felt like something went wrong with the way you were building your team. I will say, you're not able to buy into these second round picks or things like that if Shai and them aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So, that of course goes to them. Credit goes to them. But just having this group of players, I think, is just huge. It's just huge for OKC. That's why their big three talk so highly of them, because these group of guys is part of what keeps the team afloat. They're going to be there. What they're going to do. They're playing their ass off every game, and it's just like I said, we see it. If OKC needs someone to miss time, the Caruso or anybody miss time, you have these guys to step up. They're used to the system. They understand what's expected of them, and they go out and perform. That's why OKC doesn't need to go and do because even Sam Presti said it when they traded for Gordon Hayward. They traded like Micic and Trey Mann and Bertans, I believe, to get Gordon Hayward. He was like, well, he didn't really need to do that. That was a miss on my part. And then we saw this year who they traded for. They traded for Jared McCain. Just give us some more shooting. That was it. They didn't really do much else. And then now look, and you got Nikola Topic, a wonderful story for him and him slowly coming back. I know he's not playing a lot of minutes, but it does seem like he's going to be able to eventually find his footing, and which is incredible. And I don't know exactly what his footing will look like, but my point is, you just have these guys, Thomas Sober, who from Georgetown, like they just have these guys where they don't have to jump in right away. We can let them, learn, develop. We give them these extensions, and then they continuously start to develop and get even better than before, and they can be the ones that it's whoever like they make it take on Topic and Topic's not the same player as Caruso, but my point is Topic and Sober could be the ones to replace Hartenstein and Caruso when they're on their contract. Like it's just a constant flow of just operating in the margins of when it comes to building a team, and that's what makes OKC so great outside of their 3 great players.